Nagda-drive ako minsan and I was rushing to my next appointment. And as I approached an intersection, I saw the green light was about to turn yellow. So I tried to speed it up. And then, from the side of the road, a man went in front of my car and held up his palm in front of me. And I could not do anything but pull to a complete stop. That traffic policeman in front of me did not have authority on his own. When he held up his hands, I stopped my car not because he cast a spell over me or I was under his psychic control. His power over me came from the office he occupies. It comes from the authority delegated to him by his superiors. It comes from the power within the executive structure that implements the country's laws. It comes from the authority given him by the laws passed by our lawmakers, laws that organized the governing structures and rules to ensure order in the land. It comes from the authority given him by the Constitution of the Philippines. So when we submit to governing authorities, we ultimately submit to the governing authority of the laws of the land, the highest of which is the Constitution. The Constitution is the sacred contract of the Filipino people on how society is to be governed. We all agreed to follow the Constitution when the Filipino people ratified it 3 decades ago. We are all subject to this most basic governing law of the land as the highest governing authority in our society. Let us keep this in mind as we listen to what the Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the followers of Jesus in Rome. This was his appeal to everyone. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. This passage states that there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. God has instituted government to regulate human affairs. God has ordained that governing authorities promote good conduct and punish bad. During the time of Paul, that was the rule of the Roman emperor. But in our time, this is the governing authority that comes from the Constitution. For order to be maintained in Philippine society, God has ordained that we be subject to governing authority, the governing authority of the Constitution. Every person must submit to it. To resist this authority is to resist the authority structure that God has instituted in our country. The public servants that we vote into office derive their power and authority from the laws of the land. We are a nation governed by laws and not of men. Everyone, including all public servants, even the president of the country, vowed to obey and protect the Constitution. Lahat tayo, mula sa ating Pangulo hanggang sa pinakabatang mamamayan, ay dapat na sumunod sa ating Constitution. For as long as the Constitution and the various laws of the land do not violate God's laws, for as long as the laws are right and just, if they do not violate our conscience and our inner sense of right and wrong according to the will of God, then by all means, let us obey the law. Let us be subject to governing authorities. Keep in mind, even as we submit to the governing authorities, as we faithfully obey and uphold the Constitution, faith matters too.